Hello everyone, this is Dimitri from Not Just Games, and welcome to part 2 of our ongoing devlog series, where we're going to be porting our game Hate Me Not from the Unity engine to Godot. So before we port our actual game to Godot, we should familiarize ourselves a little bit more with the engine and just get a little bit more experience so that we don't have to redo stuff later on if we find some better way to do things. So step 1, we decided is gonna be to create a very simple project, like something like a Flappy Bird clone, using assets we have already created for Hate Me Not, and just see how it's gonna go. So let's get started by which version of Godot we should use. Coming from the background that we want to reuse our C# scripts, it's an obvious choice for us to go with the .NET version of Godot. Finally, there's the option of whether we want the latest release of Godot, which is 4 point something something, or the stable release 3.5 something something. And we took a quick look into the differences, and we quickly realized that in the latest version of Godot you cannot export a web project, and that's something that we definitely wanted to do with our games. So unfortunately we will not be able to use the latest version with all of the features, but on the other hand we will be able to profit from a stable environment which is not gonna have game-breaking bugs for our development process. Alright, so with the Godot version picked, we are ready to go to the next step, which is version control. So we wanted to try and see if we can use Git out of the box, maybe with some kind of official plugin, and it does exist. So if you search for Git, you would find this Godot Git plugin here, and this is the official plugin that lets you interact with Git. But it seems that after we tried setting it up, it doesn't work. So if you change something, we would expect here that there's unstaged changes. You can save here. We have tried setting up the version control here and everything. Maybe we're just being stupid here, but for us it doesn't work. But also it's not a deal breaker because there are other tools we can use for Git and they are working fine. So one more thing we did is open this git ignore and added .mono/ so that it ignores everything that's in this .mono folder, because it seemed like when we wanted to commit something, this folder seemed not necessary. So we will see in the future if the game will be breaking or something will be not working, then maybe this was a mistake, but for now it seems to be working fine and we can progress to the next step. So it started raining here, and in the meantime I'm just gonna create here a very basic scene. A 2D scene for our 2D Flappy Bird clone. Oh my god, this rain is crazy. Okay, so we're gonna call this bird, and we're gonna save this in a new directory called scenes. And what I really like is how quick and responsive Godot is. Whenever you press save, it's immediately saved. There's no reloading, nothing crazy. When you press play, it's just immediately playing. This is kind of crazy. Of course, the project is very small yet, but even with an empty project, Unity takes a while. So this is something I can definitely get used to. And with the world already loading and existing, I think the next step would be to create the player. So with the world created, we can go ahead and create the player entity, which we could in theory very simply just create by taking here this default icon and just drag and dropping it into the scene, and it would create this sprite node, which we could then technically use as a player. But what I really like in Godot is that you can structure your project very independently, so all of the systems can be independent from each other. And let me show you what I mean. I could create here a folder that's called objects and create a new scene here. So this would be our player scene, which is going to be a 2D scene. I'm going to rename this player. And now I'm going to add a child node here as a sprite 2D. And I'm gonna drag and drop the texture. And we can see now that the Godot icon is here displayed. And now I can go back to the world and drag and drop my player scene into the world. And I don't need to deal with the sprite below here. I can just have my player thing. And this is so much cleaner than having in Unity this object hierarchy. Of course, the prefabs, they exist, but I think this looks and feels more responsive to just deal with. And you can always click this icon here to jump into this kind of prefab thing. So this is possible. And one thing that I really like as well is that you can either play the current scene, or like this would be the main scene. Then you can play the current scene that you're right now editing, or you can select some other scene that's unrelated completely. And this is so much more flexible than in Unity, right? Because in Unity you would have to switch over to the other scene, then press play. And every time you switch the scene, it takes some time to load. And it's just a little bit, for me, big change when you have this immediately responsive, like, oh, I want to playtest the... So, for example, I'm editing here the player thing, something, and I can press play, and it's loading the main scene. It doesn't play from this thing, so it's, yeah, I think you get the gist, right? If you've developed in Unity for a little bit longer, then you will know that this is more convenient, objectively more convenient than in Unity. So yeah, let's go back to editing and creating the player. So for the next part, I want to showcase something in Unity, and it just takes so much time to load. Yeah, still loading. I'll skip forward to when this thing is loaded already. So we want to use this sprite here for our Flappy Bird thing. And the problem is that this protagonist is an Aseprite file. So the question is, will we be able to manage and import this thing here, so this thing with its animations, all into Godot in the same way that we did this with the Aseprite importer in Unity. So let's try that out. So after a bit of experimentation, I managed to find a good lib library that we can use to import Aseprite files into Godot. And following this case, if you search for Aseprite, you should find this Aseprite wizard here. You can go ahead and open it and download it. I already tried that one out, and then you would need to go to your editor settings, and at the bottom you should find this Aseprite foldable, and in general you should add your path to this Aseprite exe thing. You can find your what it's called. You can find it here on the tools. First you need to enable the plugin, so this wizard thing, enabling it. And then if you go to project tools, you should find this Aseprite wizard config, and you can test then here if this command path is okay. And if that's the case, then you should be ready to go and get started with importing your Aseprite files in Godot. So let's do that for our small ghost. So we have right now the player. Let's open that up, and we have a sprite here already. The one thing that we will still need is animation player, and I saved it, and now we can go here and select the animation player that is by default here linked, and then we can go ahead and open up, or more like drag and drop, the Aseprite file we want to use. So we have it here, and unfortunately it doesn't show it directly. I'm not sure if there's some kind of filter that we can apply here so that we can see it. If you open this manager here, go to objects, you should see your protagonist or whatever you're gonna have there, Aseprite file. And then we can go to this thing here, this Aseprite file link, and we can find that in this object. And then we're gonna hit import, and it should do all of the magic so that we have the thing here as a animated small sprite. So let's save this thing and click play and see what's gonna happen. So right now the ghost seems to be existing, but the animation is not playing. So let's go to the animation player and attach a test script to it. Let's call it test animation player. And I'm just gonna use GDScript for now because it's gonna be a lot quicker to do. I'm gonna save and I'm gonna go to GDScript. And what we can do is just play. And there's a nice autocomplete here. Let's play the flying animation and let's press play. And you see that the animation is playing nicely. What I am finding interesting is that in the world it seems that the filter is not set correctly, but inside of the game it looks fine. So I will have to investigate that and come back to you on the next video, because this has already been going for a little bit too long here. And yeah, I think this is a good point to stop for now, and we're gonna keep progressing with the development of this small Flappy Bird clone in the next devlog. So yeah, we are probably gonna check out why this filtering thing here is going wrong, and we're gonna do some the viewport seems to be not perfect, so we're gonna make it more pixel perfect, this kind of like cosmetic stuff. And we're gonna do some like gravity and going up and down with your spacebar or something like that, like the classic Flappy Bird mechanics. And yeah, that's it for now. We'll see each other in the next devlog. Have a nice day. Bye.